how much are we really reliant on Google as really the company, if you will, that's providing social proof about our business? Do you own your own marketing assets, or does these mega companies like Meta and Google own your social proof? People are going to leave you negative feedback. They don't need you to ask for feedback to leave you a crappy review, okay? They're going to do it anyway. Hello, friends. I'm Adam Loveridge. Welcome to the Home Services Marketing Podcast, Growth to Acquisition. I'm the owner and founder of Job Calls. We're a home services marketing agency specializing in heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and remodeling contractors. For more information about Job Calls, visit us online at www.jobcalls.com. Hello and welcome to the Home Services Marketing Podcast, Growth to Acquisition. I'm Adam Loveridge with Job Calls, and I'm happy to be hosting this particular podcast episode. Anyway, we're going to be talking about what happened last week around the internet, and in case you missed it, it was actually a really, really big deal. Google took down about 30 to 40% of companies' reviews, and this wasn't just isolated to one industry. It was an absolute across the board, and it really rocked the marketing and digital community as well as business owners. And so now, fortunately, that's been fixed, supposedly, okay? And we'll dive into that a little bit more in this episode. But the reality is it brings up this very interesting point and question and concern. And that concern is just, how much are we really reliant on Google as really the company, if you will, that's providing social proof about our business? And so let's first of all dive into what's actually happening with the disappearing Google reviews. And talk about that for a moment and what you can do as a business owner to make sure that you don't just suddenly lose your reviews overnight, or if that you do, you can get them back. So what happened was Google, and they've since come back and said, hey, this is a glitch, and they fixed it. But all of a sudden, what we started hearing was a bunch of our clients gave us a call and they said, hey, we went from 150 reviews to 65, or, couple hundred reviews down to half or 30%, gone, or something to this effect, and of course this was, freaking out our clients because, as you can imagine, there's some certain impact in all of this, right? I mean, if you think about it, like what actually happens to businesses when they lose their social proof, overnight, right? And let's talk about the real cost to the bottom line, because the fact of the matter is that Google's reviews show up in maps. They show up in PPC. You're getting lower pay-per-click costs. Reviews really drive everything. And it's just brought up this sort of state of emergency in the community. And I want to talk about how we can really make sure that we are hedging against future challenges with Google, and really looking at our review management or reputation management as an overall comprehensive system. So let's talk about a few statistics here, first of all. Okay, studies show that a drop from 4.5 to 4.0 stars will actually reduce conversion rates by as much as 28%. Businesses with more than 200 reviews typically see 10 to 15% higher conversion rates. Only 13% of businesses actively archive their reviews, while 72% rely solely on Google for review management. And the real question here, folks, is, do you own your own marketing assets, or does these mega companies like Meta and Google own your social proof? Do they own really your company and all of your positive feedback, right? Well, what does true marketing ownership really look like, right? And how do we protect ourselves from these platform changes? So I want to talk about the difference then between really rented and owned marketing space, okay? And that cost of review loss extends beyond immediate revenue, okay? It also affects, again, that Google ranking, the local pack visibility, Google Ads quality scores, but a multi-platform review strategy typically costs, maybe about 30% more, but provides 60% more stability in social proof metrics. So what does that mean exactly? It means that really as a company, what we need to be doing is not just focusing on Google, right? We need to be looking at Meta. We need to be looking at Yelp. We need to be looking at Angie's and things along these lines. And in fact, if you think back to, many years ago, at least 10 years ago, Angie's did really, really well as a service provider and a lead generation company because people had to pay to be on Angie's leads. And when I say people had to pay, I don't mean that XYZ plumbing company had to pay to be on Angie's leads. The actual homeowners themselves had to pay a subscription to be on Angie's list, okay? Well, why did they do that? Well, it's because they knew that those reviews were solid because they knew that people had to actually pay to be on Angie's List, and they knew that they were getting that realistic verified social proof. Okay. And that's why they did so well early on. And Google and a lot of these other companies really kind of mimicked that and built that social proof into their systems. And so it's really about how do we make sure that our entire digital reputation, if you will, is safe, right? Is secure. And what I'm telling you folks is that there's really a few things that you need to look at. Number one, we really have to start building resilient strategies to review management. So the question then becomes, how do we build that marketing strategy that can really withstand, these kinds of issues, right? What type of systems do we need to have in place? How can we really diversify that social proof? And where else should we be collecting and displaying reviews? Okay, so one of the solutions that we have used, and there's a ton of them out there, right? You've got Bird Eye, you've got Bright Local, you've got any number of review platforms out there. And historically, I've been really against collecting first-party reviews and collecting first-party data. But there's also been some studies that have started showing recently that data is actually just as trusted, if not more trusted, than what people see on Google or what people see on Yelp or what people see on these different local directory sites. And I think the reason is because at the end of the day, people know that you can fake reviews. Okay. It's not as easy. And if you look at, say, Yelp as an example, one thing that you'll notice for sure is that, Yelp is really, really tight about not displaying reviews that they don't think are credible. So unless you're an active Yelper and you've been on Yelp for quite some time and you have a profile and you've got a lot of review history and whatever else, they're usually going to throw your reviews down in the sandbox. Okay. And early on, Google kind of tried to do the same thing until they realized that it was actually going to hurt their platform and keep people from using their review system attached to Google Maps if they were overly filtering out those reviews. Okay. It doesn't mean that they don't still do it. It just means that they've become a little bit more loose around that where sites like Yelp have not, right? And so one of the things that we have done then is that we database all of those reviews. And so when our clients started calling us and they're freaking out about, man, we lost 30% of our reviews overnight, it was like the same thing that we always do with them. Hey, no problem. Let us go back to Google and we will provide verifiable evidence that these reviews did happen. And we ask Google to put them back in. And we have pretty much an 100% success rate in doing that. Okay. Now, fortunately for you, if this did happen to you and you haven't been archiving your reviews and you haven't really been taking a comprehensive view to reputation management and to your social proof online, well, then this is a good wake-up call, okay? These tools that can database these reviews for you and these reputation management platforms are like $50 to $200 a month, okay? I mean, they're not crazy expensive out there. And we even have a low dollar, below $200 a month option to do full reputation management, including collecting first-party data, right? So it's really then about how are we going to look at this in this changing landscape of digital? I've been talking a lot about what's happening with Google, about the fact that AI is starting to really take a big chunk out of search, okay? And so the real question then remains is, what do we do now as business owners to make sure that we own our own marketing? And that's what I'm really trying to, I think, drive home here is that we need to be on multiple platforms, okay? We need to be getting reviews on Meta, on Facebook, right? We need to be getting reviews on the local listings like Yellow Pages, City Search, right? Why do these matter? Because they're review sites. And when you actually go out and Google your business brand name, right? So let's say XYZ Plumbing, XYZ HVAC, and you look down at that Google business profile that pulls up, what you'll notice is that they're bringing in your reviews from around the web anyway. And that is still feeding into the overall search algorithm. So my question to you then is, how much is it really going to hurt to start getting reviews on these other platforms and not making your business exclusively on Google? Because I think Google has shown that whether it's just ineptitude or lack of caring or whatever else, the fact of the matter is that they pull down reviews. In fact, I did a podcast maybe just a couple months ago with a fellow by the name of Court Lundberg, who's just, a plumber here in Utah with about 13 trucks on the road. And this was one of the big issues that came up in our conversation in that podcast was Google is taking down your reviews, and they're going to continue to do so. And the question is, do you really have the time and the resources to constantly fight with Google to make sure that those reviews stay in place? So let's talk a little bit about the future of review management then, right? And how is review management going to evolve from here? And really what technologies should we be watching? How do we stay ahead of these platform changes? Okay. One of the things that I find really interesting is that you look at AI powered review management systems, and they're showing almost a 50% better retention rate of those reviews online. In fact, blockchain-based review systems are emerging with about 100% verifiable authenticity, right? So we're making sure that those are legitimate, bona fide reviews. But the other trend that we're really starting to see is that first-party review collection tools are seeing that about 200% growth year over year, okay? And make no mistake about it, reputation management, reputation marketing, this has been something that has been a service that's been out there for quite some time, but it is so easy to get reviews on Google. But I think a lot of people have really overlooked it as a bona fide, scenario. And I've gone back and forth on this, okay? I have often been of the opinion that when we solicit reviews, we want to send them right to Google, because if people are going to leave you negative feedback, they don't need you to ask for feedback to leave you a crappy review. Okay. They're going to do it anyway, but they do need your ask to leave a positive review, because they don't usually think to do that. They don't have a good experience and necessarily run right out and go like, wow, these guys are incredible. And so you still have to ask. But specifically, what used to be the way that reputation management worked is that we were trying to filter out any negative reviews from happening while just getting positive reviews. And so we'd send people to a landing page where they can first leave that first party feedback, right? Leave an actual testimonial, rate and review the company. And then if it's a 4 or 5 stars, then we send them off to Google, or we send them off to Yelp, or we send them off to City Search, or we send them off to Angie's List, or we send them off to all of these different sources from around the web where they can build up that reputation across a variety of different sites, right? And again, reputation really becomes comprehensive. And moreover, a lot of these reputation management tools can then take all of those reviews and display them actively on your website, regardless of where they came from, whether they're first party or third party in the case of Google or Angie's or Yelp or any of those things. So I really am starting to move back then to the position that we ought to be collecting first party data first and foremost, okay? And taking just frankly less emphasis off of Google in particular, right? And I'm one of the biggest harpers of this, by the way, with my clients, because the fact of the matter is that those Google reviews really do drive local search results in a significant way. It's not the end all be all, and it's probably not even as much as 30%, if I'm being honest, but it's definitely up there in terms of, double digits in terms of how much those reviews affect the algorithm, right? So the question then is, does it make sense to filter those out? And I think that given the fact that we just saw where Google can absolutely just tank your reviews, right, overnight, and let's be real about it, Kay, there's no customer support at Google. Okay, they do not care about you unless you're spending ad money, and even then, they really don't care about you. Okay, there's no such thing as customer support at Google, so it's a constant fight to have to go back and try to get these guys to fix reviews. I think the other thing that's really important too is really to kind of look at the future of social proof in all of this. And ask these really tough questions about, how is customer trust going to evolve, right? And there's so many statistics on this, and it's been really interesting watching these over the last 15 years, because it used to be that, well, you need at least 6 reviews to be trusted, or you need to have at least this high of a reputation. And now when we look at it, it's like, man, if you don't have a couple hundred reviews, you're probably not trusted, right? Because you look at your typical HVAC plumbing companies out there, they've got thousands of reviews. Okay, thousands of reviews and a 4.5 or star better reputation. What you can glean from that with just an eyeballs glance is that this is a trusted company. Okay, another big question that we've got to ask ourselves is, what role is AI going to play in all of this? Okay, and really, what should we be preparing for in the future? And I really think that one of the things that frankly we've been doing for a long time, but I think have gotten away from because it is so difficult, is getting video reviews. Okay. And the fact of the matter is that you can't fake a video. Okay. I mean, well, you could get an actor and, have to put down in the little captions like, this is an actor, it was a paid actor, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is that video reviews work really, really well. Okay. And moreover, they tend to show much higher engagement rates than text-based reviews, okay? AI-verified reviews are also becoming a new standard with 90% consumer trust rates. And then integrated review and testimonial systems that combine those multiple platforms are often showing a 35% higher conversion rate than those single platform solutions. And so really, I think the overall thought here that I want to try to impart on you is to get away from renting your marketing from Google and really start owning your marketing. And if all you do is go out and get some sort of system that will archive those reviews so that when Google goes and takes down reviews here or there, whatever else, you notice it because it's very easy to see, hey, in our system, we should have 155 reviews. On Google, we only have 152. Which 3 did we lose, right? And then we can take that proof, we take the snapshot of that review, we send it over to Google and we get it put back up. But could we be getting our reviews out onto YouTube? Could we be getting our reviews out onto Yelp, onto City Search, onto Yellow Pages, onto Angie's Leads, onto all of these different platforms where we have the opportunity to build a reputation? And I really, really genuinely believe that the companies that do that the companies that diversify their marketing across a lot of different lead channels, a lot of different review sites, a lot of different social proof sites are going to be the ones that are building that significant brand in the local area. And that's really what AI is using when you ask ChatGPT, hey, who are the top 5 plumbing contractors in my area? Okay, they're going out and they're crawling the entire web, not just Google's ecosystem and not just Google Maps that shows you these top 3 supposedly, the best companies in that area. Okay, they're looking at the organic results. They're looking at their reviews around the web and then coming back and saying, based on everything in this whole comprehensive thing that we're seeing, this is the top 5 companies, or these are the top 5 companies that really exist in this space. Okay. And if AI is going to continue to take over search, and there's a Gartner report out there that says by 2026 that as much as 25% of search that was previously being carried out on Google and other search engines, but mostly Google, obviously, is going to be AI chatbots. Okay. And more people are trusting those AI chatbot delivered results. And I think it behooves us to really spread our marketing out, to really, as much as possible, collect those first-party reviews, get those video testimonials, display that social proof on our website, okay? Drive everything back to the website, frankly, because that's what you own as a company. And, there's so many plugins that will take all of your reviews from all around the web and put them in a nice, tidy package right there on your homepage of your website where people can see them, and you can market that social proof directly to people when they hit your website. And I think that, frankly, that diversification, if nothing else, we've learned in the last couple weeks is so vital, because we don't know what Google's going to do, and we don't know what the search landscape is going to look like a year from now and 5 years from now. But I can tell you that there will be competitors in it. And I can tell you that Google will continue to take down your reviews. Little glitches like this will continue to happen. And if you're not diversifying where you're getting your social proof, and if you're really not getting reviews from around the web, and you're just wholly focused on Google, I always like to say that 1 is the loneliest number in the world when it comes to marketing. And I really like the idea of fishing, right? If you and I go fishing together and you bring your really nice fishing pole, and this is like the best fish catching pole on the planet, and you've got the bait dialed in and whatever else, and I show up with 10 fishing poles, who's going to catch more fish? Okay, probably me. And that's true of marketing as well, right? You've got to really diversify that, and you really need to be looking at how you can own your own assets, because you do not want to be dependent on Facebook, on Google, on Yelp, on any of these companies solely and exclusively. And that's how you get really pigeonholed into these situations where you just don't actually have that omnipresence that we're really trying to build, so that we're showing up everywhere. And if the future of search is AI chatbots. We want to be doing everything possible to make sure that we really do build a brand in our local marketplace that can be found on more places than just Google. So anyway, I'm Adam Loveridge with Job Calls. This is another episode of the Home Services Marketing Podcast, Growth to Acquisition. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to catching you on the next one.